Why not?
Safety in numbers now.
Next meeting I'll be Chief Executive Officer will be down here. How would you like it, Rob? Down here. In amongst the galleys.
Okie doke, folks. Let's start tonight's meeting. Thank you to everybody that's come along tonight. It must be very entertaining. So welcome to tonight's Sorell Council meeting, the 18th of August 2026. I'd like to advise everyone that an audio-visual recording is being made of this meeting. I also remind everyone present to be respectful and considerate towards others attending the meeting. Language or behaviour that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to any person attending the meeting or to those listening to the recording will not be tolerated. I'd like to start this meeting properly by paying my respects to the traditional and original owners of this land, the Mama-Rimina people, to pay respect to those that have passed before us and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are the custodians of this land. There's a list of attendees, but out of those attendees for tonight's meeting we have apologies from Councillor Mirakasada-Larue and Councillor Shaw. Do we have any declarations of interest for tonight's meeting? Excuse me. No? Cool. Thank you. In which case, we'll move on to the confirmation of the previous minutes. The recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 21st of July 2026 be confirmed. Can I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Nichols and Deputy Mayor Michael Larkins to second. Are there any comments on the minutes of the previous meeting? No? All those in favour of this recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Item 6 before you is Mayor's report, my report. The recommendation that the Mayor's communication report as listed be received. Can I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Reid and second, Councillor Reynolds. Thank you very much. Open the floor to questions. Councillor Reynolds.
Through the Mayor, thank you. Just want to question about your meeting with the Sorell football president, Robbie Isles. It's got there just the club in general, which is great to see the club actually going well this year. It's at the top of the ladder. It's got there a mention about the gym. Was the general talk about additional items to the Pembroke Park master plan, or was it with the items that was in the master plan?
Related to the additional items to the master plan, but in terms of utilisation of existing space. And it is aspirations for the future of the club. If they go up a league, you know, they're doing so well this year. In the future they will need extra facilities, so the possibility of utilising existing spaces for a gym and for development. But this is something that council have noted, and we have a space, but it has to be put to a general. They're not the only users of Pembroke Park, so there's a users meeting next Thursday where that will be brought to the table. It's on the agenda to be discussed at the next meeting as to what to do with the vacant space and are there any interested collectives or possible uses. It has to go out to the general users of Pembroke Park before we can identify an individual, but they expressed an interest in utilising the space as a gym.
Thank you, Mayor.
Other questions?
Thanks, Mayor. Could you elaborate on the red handfish nursery visit? I couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Oh, you missed a treat.
I know the vicinity. I grew up in that area, so I know the vicinity well.
Everybody came out of the red handfish, enclosure with smiles on their faces. It was a really good information session. We have been sent the slides from the presentation slides, which we'll forward you. It was about the situation of the red handfish in the wild, their vulnerable position, and what the whole team are doing to try and rehabilitate, just as we do on land, rehabilitate the environment so it's suitable for the fish, and breeding fish to rehabilitate that. Rehabilitate, is that the correct word? That environment. Rehabilitate the environment to rehabilitate, to put the fish back in the water. It was really good, really, impressive, and fish is so
You're
cute.
still smiling.
I know, think about it, it's so cute. But no, it's really informative, and how they were growing the seagrass to put back in place, and how they were trialling different things, because the seagrass nursery is new. And that was a big part of it, information session, and talked about how council can support an education piece and work with the so,
Thank you. Sorry, I missed it.
anything else? Yes? No? Councillor Reid, do you normally have something?
I do. Today, we were at the, along with Deputy Mayor Larkins, at the Veterans Remembrance Service at Sorell, RSL, and which was terrific. And I took the opportunity to go to the Primrose Sands service that was later in the day as well, and both showed a really enthusiasm for opening up to invite members of the public, invite the community in, and to commemorate those occasions in a more public way, which is fantastic. And I guess I would simply invite I'm interested in what your reflections on the day might be.
I didn't get down to Primrose because I had a meeting elsewhere, but certainly from the Sorell perspective, I think the services have always been open to the public. It's just a matter of making that invitation known, which Sorell has done, and the committee and members of Sorell RSL have been very welcoming and opening, and have spent a lot of time on arranging this service, and there has been conversations previous to today about having a proper memorial for the Vietnam veterans and those that took part in the Vietnam War, which involves a bespoke concrete cross that was used actually in Vietnam, and will be sort of considered when we look at a new master plan for the RSL, around that area of the RSL, to make it appropriately respectful.
It's really good to hear. Thank you.
Yes, you can walk.
In relation to the Ready Set Go program, that would be great. How did you go with that and getting a location at Fitzy's? Just general discussions about it.
What they really need is volunteers. So the location is suitable. So we're not just talking about children, but Fitzy's use of Fitzy's during the sort of non-youth operational hours when it's so it's ideal for that. So those that are a bit shy of the establishment and educational facilities or formal facilities, Fitzy's would be ideal in the morning to use when the children aren't there, and also it facilitates the other services can be provided out of Fitzy's as well, so or directed. So if they need the work where they need, it's part of the essentials that are required for a job and advancing in life needs. So Really positive conversation. Ready, Set, Go can be facilitated from FITSES. What we need are some local volunteers.
And sorry, what would the volunteers be doing, just so that when we advocate?
So the volunteers sit through a program themselves, because the cars are dual
Controls.
dual controls. Thank you. A dual control. So you go through a bit of a session as how to use the dual controls, and a bit of an education piece around what is good driving, what isn't good driving. And then that's it. And I know there's been conversation within the CWA, so that's come out of that. So council has facilitated these conversations with other groups that are working with FITSES, CWA to be one of them, and with interest from some of their members as well. So we just need the volunteers, and then it'll happen. For those that aren't aware, Ready, Set, Go is a learner driver initiative where people who aren't able to build up their hours with their Ps can work up their hours with this Ready, Set, Grow program after having 5 hours of formal training. Anything further?
Yes, there was it Old Mates? Yeah, Old Mates Day. How was that?
Oh, year on year it's grown, and it's after 10 years, because this was the 10th anniversary, after 10 years there are sort of revolving, there's new members arriving, and it's really becoming a generational, not just old mates, but that generational interaction. So there's old friends meeting new friends, new people, new faces, and there were probably throughout the day 300 or 400 people came through. So all interaction. So it's really, and congratulations to Terry White and his cohort that hosted and held the event, and the community brought plates and plates of food. So it was a real good old-fashioned mucking day. And it was nice weather as well. Anything further? That's all right.
Thank you. The Regional Development Australia board dinner, the Tasmanian board dinner, a networking opportunity, but any particular points or information that's relevant to us that may be of interest?
For me, it was an opportunity to advocate for us and to highlight to the board where we are, not us personally are falling short, but where the shortfalls are in the system that creates issues for us. So there was a big conversation around the study hub, in that, you know, the funding and the best, how that is very much on a 3-year cycle, so it doesn't allow for that certainty of employees or learners or participants, and you lose that, certainly around the study hub, that aspirational ability to go to uni locally. So you're in year 10 now, or year 9 now, and you look to the, you know, you're looking to the future, planning your future. Is the study hub part of that sort of conversation? There was also excitement around Sorell East, and you know what is required to sort of duplicate the good culture, or not to duplicate, but to include that new settlement into our community here to maintain that solid community, so it doesn't become a duplication. It becomes integrate. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
Anything further? No. Shake of heads. So all those in favour of the recommendation to accept the Mayor's communication report as listed will be received. Thank you. No supplementary items. The workshop reports are there before us. Councillors' motions on notice. There's a motion there from Councillor Reid, item 10.1. The motion is that Council notes the Governor-General's reception in Canberra on the 24th of June 2026, hosted by Her Excellency the Honourable Sam Mostyn, AC, to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Australian Local Government Women's Association, and attended by Councillor Melinda Reid. And 2, that Council acknowledges the Sorell's community's leadership in progressing women's participation in local government, including electing Sheila Clark in 1960 and 1962, the first woman to serve as Sorell councillor, electing 3 female mayors since 1994, and electing a majority of women candidates in 2018 and 2022. Can I have it up? So, as it's a motion from Councillor Reid,
Yes,
Moved
I'll
by-
move the motion, thank you.
seconded by
Thank you, Pete.
Deputy Mayor Larkins. So, would you like to?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's somewhat unusual situation to be putting a motion on notice involving myself, but in looking at the significance of being able to participate in this anniversary event, it was simply a way to acknowledge that on the public record. So thank you to the CEO for advice on how the process, how to do that, and the report explains that the event was held in June, a national gathering of the to acknowledge the 75th anniversary of the Local Government Women's Association, at the invitation of their patron, the Governor-General, Sam Mostyn, who is an amazingly gracious host and gave an inspiring speech and made everyone feel very welcomed. And there's some quotes from the speech in the report. One of the most significant that stands out is that no one pays a price for equality. We all rise when women rise, she said. And she spoke at length on courage, commitment and change, and particularly her own approach, which is centred on courage to show kindness. And that's a hallmark of her time as Governor-General, off the back of a very distinguished career in the corporate world and on the AFL board, is it? I'm not quite sure. And so on. So it was a lovely opportunity to be with like-minded people and to commemorate that. And I couldn't, I think inspired by her encouragement, the Governor-General's encouragement to recognise women in public life, that was the inspiration for thinking about, well, how do we do that here? And to follow this up with acknowledgement of the women elected to Sorell Council. It's something that we've done through our International Women's Day events. And interestingly, it's something that we've only known about, that list of 19 women, something that we've only known about for, I think it's in this term of council, so since 2023. We had to do the research, we had to piece it together, and every council is in the same boat because there are no official records of women elected to local government. So we have to count that ourselves, and again, that's another reason for putting this on the record today. So I would commend the motion to you. the details are there before you, including a photo of Councillor Sheila Clark with her colleagues in 1962, which again was discovered almost by accident as part of a history article about former Warden Donald Gatehouse, and there he is sitting next to Mrs. Clark. And if one can imagine at that time the courage that it would have taken for her to even consider nominating when it was such a traditionally male environment. And so she was a trailblazer, and that's another reason for putting this before you today.
Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Matt. There's one thing that we've got to love about Sorell, and that's the way that our community always backs people who put their hands up to and get things done. Our record of women's participation in local government is something that we should all be proud of. From Sheila Clark paving the way as Sorell's first female councillor, as we've heard, through the strong female representation that we see around the room today, and consistently recognise good leadership and reward for service. We've had the benefit of outstanding female leaders, including former Mayor Carmel Trenius, who still sits at the table with us today, and our current Mayor Gatehouse. Their leadership, experience and commitment to the municipality has helped guide Sorell through the periods of growth and change and made our community stronger for it. Tonight is a good opportunity to recognise the progress, celebrate the women who have helped shape our municipality, and continue to encourage future generations to step forward into leadership roles. And I'm pleased to second the motion.
Anything else from around the table?
If I should vote.
Because you're is that right? That rules two of us out.
Voting and it's all right.
Didn't declare it. Perhaps we just keep quiet. Can I put this motion to the vote? All those in favour of the recommendation listed before you? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Reid, for that motion. Item 11 on page 8. Work group reports. Recommendation that the work group reports as listed be received. Can you move the Deputy Mayor Larkin, seconder, Councillor Campbell. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Larkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to CEO Mr. Higgins. Your meeting with the Office of Coordinator General and Strategy Risk Officer regarding the draft State Economic Diversification Investment Policy. Everything I'm sure it was. What was the key points, especially around economic diversification, if any, at this stage?
Through the Mayor, it was interesting. It sort of came out of nowhere for us. We weren't aware the state was developing it, and we, as in Oliver and I, just because we have a good relationship with the Coordinator General's office and one of the senior staff in there in particular, who's very engaged with this and what we're trying to do in the southeast. We just thought it was beneficial to get in contact with him and try and understand what the basis of this is and where it's come from and which department is going to be dealing with it and how it's going to be rolled out into the future. So there's nothing trailblazing about it, and I'll share the submission we put in. I'll circulate that to the councillors. It's very early days. Nothing groundbreaking about it. I guess we're just trying to, in our submission back to them, and the Greater Hobart Council's put in a joint submission as well. I guess just trying to tease out really how it's going to be implemented, who's responsible, and how you're going to measure it. So I'll circulate that to assist the councils. Otherwise it's quite a lengthy document.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Alice released it.
Thank you.
Campbell.
You had a few meetings, Robert, with in relation to the Southern Beaches structure plans of commercial developer or potential commercial developer. Was that positive?
Yeah, through the mayor. I've had an association with the young developer since I've been here. We've had interest around the municipality. And so it's a bit of a check-in with them, and Shane, our planning manager, was with me around them trying to just get a better appreciation of how the Southern Beaches plan, structural plan, is evolving and what it's setting out to do or trying to achieve, and given their interest in some sites, just trying to, I guess, get an understanding and appreciation of what their role should be in providing input into the plan as well, and I guess ensuring that their interests are considered, which is a matter for them, which they'll be pursuing. Yeah, it's just a bit of an evolutionary discussion from when I first dealt with them over 10 years ago to now, and their prior attempts through the planning commission to get rezonings done with other owners, and just what's changed with the Southern Tas Regional Land Use Strategy, what's in it and its status as well. I guess there's a few moving pieces, and there's been a long-term interested party down here, so we're just wanting a chance to, I guess, to corral Shane and I to get our take on all those moving pieces and how they should best approach their interests or their it's their interests really, and how it should be considered in all these matters.
I was just going to ask the same question, but further to that, the commercial operator, is that somebody looking in Sorell or the Southern Beaches?
It's a principal operator in Southern Tas, and I can't disclose too many details,
No.
but they're certainly looking. I mean, Sorell's been growing significantly for 20 years. It's been accelerating. So the larger players certainly have, obviously, they run, Shane's across this better than I am, run fairly sophisticated catchment models, and there's tipping points as to when they are interested or not. And so obviously Sorell has been on their radar for a long time, and I guess they too were wanting to check. It was separate sessions. Shane was at the second session, but they were wanting to check in with our growth rates and what we are forecasting in the future, and also if Sorell East comes online, what that will do as well to their models, and getting an awareness of the rezoning we did recently down off Western Hill Road and into Paulina Road as well. So just getting an appreciation of what we see happening in a commercial sense, where it might be, when it might be, and how the Southern Tas Regional Land Use Strategy deals with Sorell, whether it provides for growth or not, or where and when, and to a final detail, again, the Southern Beaches plan as well.
Thank you. Yeah, the two need to work together, the growth and the commercial side of things too.
Councillor Reid. Thank you. I've got a couple of questions about the work reports, but first compliments and thanks for particularly to the communications and engagement team for the significant amount of community interaction that's been happening, particularly of late, and because a lot of the strategies and projects that have been in the pipeline for quite a while have now landed, and there's been a lot of opportunities for the community and other stakeholders, as we've just heard, to have input into that planning for the future, which is fantastic. The question was particularly some of that feedback that we hear, one on a more sort of day-to-day basis has been about progress on particularly looking at social media and so on, commentary around footpaths and the viewing platforms at the beaches and things like that. I was just curious about timing when particularly the Carlton River and Carlton Beach footpaths and the beach viewing platforms, when those three projects are likely to be completed.
Through the Mayor, I'll deal with the easiest one first, which
Okay.
is the viewing platform. So they are, I think, due for completion either September, October, roughly, because we have a grant deed commitment around that as well, which we've already had extended.
The dates on the information board that's on the side, the big corporate side with all the lots of detail on it, why, where, how.
Great. Yeah, I didn't read the fine print, but great to see
I think
those
it's-
signs
I
up
think it's
there.
October.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And on those path projects, if it's we've been dealing with so there's one contractor who has 3 projects, being Gatehouse Drive, Carlton River Road, and Carlton Beach Road. So Gatehouse Drive is at least half completed. Carlton River partially completed. Carlton Beach not as yet to commence. We're going through through the contract superintendent. Basically, we'll be concluding our dealings with that contractor. So we're now just negotiating our way through those contract management matters. So we will need to go to market to complete Gatehouse and Carlton River. I suspect that will be through direct contact to a range of contractors. But with the Carlton Beach Road project, which is a fairly significant job from, I think, East Street through to Ruck River, we are likely to we will have to re-tender that. We might jointly re-tender that with the next stage as well, which is from Snake Hollow to, I can't think of the name, Providence Drive down toward Gate 5, to that as one large project. So it's unfortunate, but there's been some issues with that contractor.
Still within this financial year though, within this calendar year.
You know, certainly potential with Gatehouse and Carlton River, absolutely this calendar year, and ideally start on Carlton Beach and Providence as well, and completed this year, financial year.
Thank you, thanks very much.
Councillor Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could just ask the CEO for more information regarding the Dodgers Ferry storage system update.
Yes, Mayor, the old chestnut. So as part of the school redevelopment, they will effectively been engaged by Taswater to do the system upgrade, so the actual treatment side. But Taswater themselves are dealing with the disposal area, so they've obviously got to deal with rehabilitating the existing lagoons and constructing a new wastewater disposal area. So they're two separate projects, but they're getting the school to do the install of the system itself.
Council don't own that anymore, do they?
The lagoons are on our land, but there will be, and the disposal system, disposal area, will similarly be on our land, but will be covered through a Part 5 agreement. So, responsibility will sit with Taswater for the maintenance of that.
That's good. And just one other question, which isn't actually in here, but a former councillor, Lindsay White, has been quite public on social media around concerns with the FPA. Has he approached you, and has the council got any sort of stance or advice?
Now, I'm aware of it, but he hasn't. I've spoken to him. I bumped into him getting a bar meat down the road a couple of weeks ago. But no, he hasn't approached council formally at all.
Looks like he's doing a good job. Thank you.
Any more questions for Sorell?
Thank you, Mayor. Just around the Fitzies and its utilisation, and just curious around, with the regular drop-in sessions now up and running and school being back and things like that, How many are typically attending on a weekly basis through the 3 drop-in sessions?
After the mayor, so roughly 10 to 15 per session.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Anything further?
Thank you. Just a point of clarification really on the planning report. The visitor, change of use to visitor accommodation, a couple of mentions, 2 are permitted and 1 is discretionary, and I'm just not clear on what the difference is.
Well, through the mayor, how fortuitous we have our planning manager present. Would you care to
Through the mayor, generally they will be permitted, but there is a floor area limit. So if it's a large house, I think it's 100 square meters, it goes into a discretionary category.
Thank you.
All happy with this report or further questions? All happy? I'll put this recommendation to the vote that the work group reports as listed be received. All those in favour, show hands. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Page 14, petitions still to be actioned, no change to the withdrawal of the Blue Lagoon draft management plan.
through the mayor? The only adjustment, mate, was just to clarify that the CRMP funding that we're hoping to utilise for the stormwater project is concluded, so that's finished. So the funding for the project will be entirely by council. That's all.
Thank you.
That was August. That ran its course.
Item 14.
About the red handfish, they sort of tie in, and the visit last week around the red handfish just underlined how important that process has been in carefully stepping through the solutions for Blue Lagoon. So appreciation to all involved in that and the circumstances that led to the petition, and then all of the work that's been done since.
And the work will be ongoing in terms of costing and budget adjustments or budget additions.
Yeah, 3 members. So we've got there's a capital project in the budget that's been funded. So it's only once we do the request for tender when we get the cost back, we need to adjust the budget or not. We've had an engineering estimate done. See what the market comes back with.
So, on to item 14. In accordance with Regulation 29, the Council will act as planning authority in respect to those matters appearing under item 14 on this agenda, inclusive of any supplementary items. So, item 14.1, Sorell Planning Authority minutes. Recommendation that the minutes of the Sorell Planning Authority SPA meeting of the 4th and 11th of August 2026 be noted. Can I have a move? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Nichols to second. Any comments on those minutes? No? All those in favour of that recommendation, please show hands. Unanimous. Thank you very much. On to item 17, community relations. 17.1, Natural Resource Management Advisory Group Terms of Reference. The recommendation that Council resolve to endorse the revised and updated Terms of Reference for the Natural Resource Management Advisory Group as attached. Can I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Trenius and Councillor Reid to second. Thank you. Councillor Trenius, would you like to comment?
No, this will take place when after the next election, I take it.
Yeah, through the mayor, we'll run the LI process now, but in terms of concluding it and appointing new councillors or whoever the council
Yeah,
may
sorry,
be.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
you were referring to the councillors.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yes, sorry. Did an assumption there. Sorry, thank you.
All right.
Councillor Reid.
Thank you. As the inaugural chair of the NRM, well, currently NRM Natural Resource Management and Environment Advisory Group, it's been a pleasure to work with the current group, including the Gatehouse, who serves on it as well. And over that time, nearly 3 years now, we've identified, spent most of that time focusing on getting the NRM strategy, a 10-year strategy, drafted and now operating, which is a huge milestone for the council and for our community. And in that process, we've discovered that we needed to smooth off some of the rough edges around how the advisory group actually worked. It's the first time council's done something of this type, and so this motion and the work that's gone into it has come through the advisory group, working with council management to put this together. And now we, before you, have a proposal that bridges some gaps and as I said, smooths off some rough edges and sets us up really well for the future. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the volunteers, the community and the expert members on the current advisory group for the absolute dedication and a significant number of volunteer hours that they've contributed, which has been a great benefit, not just for developing the strategy, but also being on hand to provide advice for other matters that council's been considering, particularly through the CEO and others. So another step forward in maturing this process, and it all set us up well for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well said. Well, very. Thank you to those that have been sitting on the group and shared their working experience and valuable knowledge, and valuable local knowledge being given to the group. So, absolutely thank them. Any further comment or on this recommendation? Questions? No, we're all happy. All those in favour of the recommendation that council resolve to endorse the revised and updated terms of reference for the Natural Resource Management Advisory Group as attached, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. Moving over to page 26, we're on to finance now. 18.1 executive summary. Recommendation that the executive summary financial report July 2026 year to date be received and noted by council. Can I move a Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Reid? Second, thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to open the?
Thank you, Mayor. It's really helpful to have the permanent or temporary around the timing of whether or not things are under or over budget as a result of timing, and see how things flow and change throughout the years. So that's really good, and I support the recommendation.
Councillor Reid.
As usual, I am very grateful for the detailed and accuracy that goes into preparing these reports. And I know from talking to councillors from other parts of the state that the level of trust that we can have in the reports that come to us, that's not always enjoyed by people, elected members at other councils. So yes, our gratitude to the staff team that put these together, and also the the way it reflects the prudent financial management that we have, that's been in place for a number of years now, and again means that when we come to appoint as elected members that we need to make a decision, we're confident that we're making a decision on the right facts, the right information for the right reasons. So that is a really important strength of this council.
And it has to be noted on page 47, we've had a lot of queries recently about public or open space contributions and the spending of that. And thanks to the finance team, they've listed the half-yearly summary of contributions and expenditure to the open space and the locations where that has happened. So thank you to the team for adding that.
If you're letting me interject, Shane plays a big role in the provision of the data through the subdivision processes he's dealing with into finance to make sure that the allocations are going in the right area. So it's more helpful for us as a management team that there's an appreciation across different work groups around the mechanics of it and why. It just helps them in forming up the financial plan and allocating where those funds get spent on which projects that there's a correlation with, especially in a spatial sense. So it's helpful for all.
Thank you, Shane. You get a thanks as well then. And yeah, I think it just demonstrates that a small team works together well. So thank you very much. Any further questions on the finance?
Clarification again, if I may. Pardon me. On page 37, just at the bottom, there's the table of council borrowings, the relatively small amount of $2.2 million, roughly. 2.2. There's a note there about the Treasury management policy. What I wasn't clear on is the purpose of those borrowings that have happened since 2021. 21, 22, 24 and 25. Not the detail necessarily, but just in broad terms, how borrowings help us.
Yes, I mean, I'm trying to think the last time we borrowed possibly was for the stormwater infrastructure out here, the other side of the emergency services hub. So every year there's a process that Scott, who's the finance manager, acting finance manager, and I go through around Task Corp, want to know what every council wishes to do year to year, and by virtue of how we've built our cash position up over time, and what we've factored into the financial plan with projects, at this stage we don't see a need to borrow, but certainly for something like that, a long-term asset that has benefits, fairly broad benefits across the community, that there's a bit more merit in funding that through long borrowings and sort of shorter term and more volatile assets. So, but I'd have to double check. I've gone blank as to what the more recent ones were, because I can take that notice. I'll find out. I'm curious myself now.
Thank you.
And the 7th Ave might have been the other one, the 7th Ave Stormwater Upgrade Project as well. I'll check that for you.
It'd be nice if we could go back to 2021 interest rates, 2.12%. Any further questions for the GM on the finance? No? All those in favour of this recommendation that the Executive Summary Financial Report for July 2026 year to date be received and noted by Council. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. 18.2 Capital Adjustments, page 48. Recommendation that Council resolve pursuant of section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993
to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2026-2027 capital budget estimates. Can I have a move for Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Campbell? Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Mayor. As there always is, a few unexpecteds that see some projects go over, others come under, but it's really good to see the detail in where things were moved or how they got extra, so I appreciate the detail and support the recommendation.
Thank you. Nothing from Councillor Campbell? Any other comments? Councillor Trace.
Yes, I had the pleasure of seeing the concept plan for the memorial, the garden for Neil Davis, which has an inbuilt seat. I also, and I can't find the page, but it mentions a statue to Neil Davis, and I wasn't sure whether it was a statue or a sculpture, because it hasn't been discussed anywhere. And I can't find the page.
Page 49.
40. Thank you.
It does reference statue, right?
A couple of times I think I saw it.
I wouldn't say that's what's locked in. It's
No, it hasn't been discussed.
unless we want a statue.
Sorry,
Don't want a statue.
I'll just leave that for now and see what comes
Statues.
But I think a sculpture has also
We had talked about a sculpture,
yes.
a sculptural seat. So maybe they're across.
We left the that in abeyance, that when we had a meeting with the cultural precinct group. So anyway, so that's a question mark on the statue. Thank you.
Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Following up the mention of the cultural precinct reference group, though I'm just wondering how the design and how the projects, which stakeholders are being involved is what I'm trying to say. For the cultural precinct, that direction, we have the reference group process to help with that. What are we doing in this case?
That doesn't actually relate to this item, the cap.
No, in terms of the Neil Davis Memorial area, that I was following up on Councillor Trenis's.
Well, I'm not sure when the next meeting is, so that will have to be,
I think that's aside from the cultural precinct area though.
So my question is, for the Davis Memorial area, how's council involved in getting feedback from stakeholders? I was using the cultural precinct process as an example.
The item we're talking about is 18.2 capital budget adjustments, so maybe that could come as a question to be addressed at a workshop or the next.
Potentially, yes, okay. I just think it's relevant to this because it sets the context for how we make decisions about financial commitment that we're making. But yes, I will take it up. We can take it up. That's fine.
Okay, through the Mayor, there's a project plan for the project which identifies all the stakeholders, which includes the people Carmel, as Renix has mentioned. So we can provide you with a copy of that. I can't recall them all off the top of my head,
Thank you.
but it has been documented in the project.
Thanks very much. Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. That's all. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? No? All those happy with the recommendation, the council resolve pursuant to section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2026-2027 capital budget estimates. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. So, according to my notes, we are now on to questions from the public. Now, we had a question taken on notice from the previous meeting. And the question was from Sharon Fotheringham, who's here today. Question being, would council please submit a report to Air Services Australia by the 16th of the 8th, requesting that current Rec 4 decision to leave flight path RNP AR, which is directly over Primrose, Carlton River and Fawcett, be reversed and the original Rec 4 be implemented, i.e. move the path 3 kilometres to the east. So that was Sharon's question, and the CEO has supplied a detailed response there in the agenda. So, and also there was a question from the public on notice from Andrew Terhorst of Primrose Sands, again asking questions of Air Services, asking why the grounds ultimately used to refuse recommendation for the cumulative impact assessment and the finding that the noise abatement procedure would not work in the relocated position, where development only after were developed only after community consultation closed, when the relocated path design, including its proximity to the existing approach, was already fixed and known to Air Services before the community was consulted. Also requested tabling of the submission from the Carlton River, Primrose Sands and Fawcett flight path opponents group, which was attached separately to this agenda, and again the CEO's detailed response after communications with other organisations. And it's all listed there. So we
66 middle page.
apologies. Sorry. Question from Lim Campbell of Dodgers Ferry asking, the Southern Beaches community believes securing Ferry Hall is an important opportunity to provide for its future needs while preserving its history. Will the council commit to working with the Department of Education, children and young people and the Southern Beaches community to genuinely investigate relocating Ferry Hall for future uses for our community? And the CEO's response is there. Sorry, Mim, I have read that and missed it. Right, sorry. So, with those noted, could I open the floor to questions from the public? Can I ask the person to individually stand up and state clearly your name and address from? So, Sharon, would you like to start?
Hi, Sharon Fotheringham from Fawcett. I'd like to thank everyone for the letters written to Air Services and the camp meeting, and I've been asked could we obtain copies of both of those, your letter and the responses you received. Is that possible?
The content of my letter is in the response to Andrew Terhorst, so that's in the agenda. I do have a response I received late this afternoon from Air Services Australia to that letter, but I haven't properly, it's a couple of pages long and quite detailed, but I haven't properly reviewed that. If it's appropriate, I'm happy to provide it, but I'll just need to confirm the details and the manner in which it's provided to me. So I'll also, sorry, get my words out eventually, the combined request from yourself and Andrew on this matter, I'll work out the appropriateness of if I send it to anybody. The Air Service Australia response will go to both parties, yourself and Andrew, but just to give me a chance to absorb it and work out if there's any sensitivities around it or not. I'd suspect not.
That's fine. We're in the same group, so I don't mind
Yeah.
if you just send one response to Andrew, Dr. Turles.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. The other thing I'd like to ask, I have some questions about dog complaints. I need to give you some information first off. In May of this year, I paid $110 to the council to investigate and hopefully prosecute my next door neighbour for dog barking. I have security cameras and I had all the evidence on security cameras. I'd start them off and they'd record the dog barking. This went on for about 10, 12 hours a day. As you need to know too, my neighbour's son works with the council. What happened, I paid the $110 and the council came back to me and said they were doing nothing about it. They put their own recordings in and couldn't do anything because the neighbours had obviously been warned that they were recording. The dog was put inside and of course the dog didn't bark. That was May. We've now gone back to the same situation again. And I rang up the council today saying I wanted to make another official complaint. And I got a response from Darren Carter, which I'll give you the thing, and it stated, I have instructed Mark not to commit further investigations unless and until a further official complaint is lodged, accompanied by the prescribed fee. Another $110 to get some action taken. All I asked was for Mark to go and ask my neighbour to control their dog, and this has been refused. I have another $110 here I'd like to give to you, and hopefully the council will do something this time. And I've got the email received from Darren Carter.
Through the Mayor, this is an operational matter that is being dealt with. I don't want to accept your money now. I won't accept your money now. But as you know, Darren has sent, I've seen the email Darren sent to you today explaining the situation. So I'll take on notice and we'll deal with it outside of the meeting.
All right, I'm happy with that, but I'd just like to say that once I made the complaint, it became obvious that someone from the council had spoken to the neighbour, and I'm just concerned about the manner in which it's being handled because of the fact that the woman's son works for this council.
Well, through you, Mayor, this is conjecture, and our staff do things transparently and properly, and we're aware of that situation. So, like I said, I'll take it on notice, but I'm not going to debate this in this forum.
So can I take it that I would hear something from the council tomorrow concerning it? Because if the dog's barking continues for 3-4 hours a day, and I can't talk to the neighbour because the last time I tried to talk to her, pardon the expression, I was told to fuck you. And that is her exact words.
We'll be in contact.
All right, and the other thing I've just seen on the agenda about Ferry Hall, that you're considering relocating Ferry Hall to Fawcett Hall. Is that my understanding or is that wrong? Because Fawcett Hall is owned by the people of Fawcett and...
So through the Mayor, it's a case of in the options around what to do with Ferry Hall, and further to the question asked from Marina, we've had a building surveyor go through Ferry Hall. We're now getting a sort of specialist contractor Friday to go through it to look at the sort of suitability or issues around its ability to be moved and costs associated with that, just to relocate it effectively. But as part of the consideration when we did our engagement piece earlier this year was some of the feedback we got around in terms of other existing facilities, whether Fawcett Hall can play a role as a community asset like it has in the past. It's nothing about relocating Ferry Hall to...
Sorry, that was my misunderstanding. I just saw it and I thought, well, nobody in Fawcett's been consulted about this, so I was just asking, as a past president of 25 years of the hall, the outside area is very valued and very limited actually. Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
I'll break it from Dunelly. I see that the CEO met with Building Tas and discussed the planning and infrastructure of the Harper Highway Corridor project and the Sorell River Bridge. Did you discuss what the next tranche of the upgrades will be? And did you discuss active transport provisions with these people?
Yeah, through the mayor. So actually Shane, myself and Julie, who's our infrastructure and assets work group manager, we met with them late July. It was Building Tas staff plus their consultants who are doing the design and the community engagement around it. So we did discuss this first tranche of projects, range of projects, from here to Port Arthur, so the entirety of the Arthur Highway corridor. And one of the projects that there is in this first group is that path through Dunalley, as you indicated at the last meeting. So they've confirmed that that's part of the projects they're considering. So they've yet to do the design and obviously the costing, but at this stage it's one of the 6 or 7, I can't think of the exact number, of projects that form up this first batch of projects.
They didn't say anything about the actual road through Dunalley?
No, at this stage it's contemplating a path on the school side of the road of the highway, sort of from Bay Street along, I don't know exactly how much beyond Imlay, and then it coming across the other side, continuing along the canal side through to Bay Road.
Yeah, well, as you might know, there was a car went off the road where that pedestrian haven is at the school a couple of weeks ago. Went down through the fence where the skate bowl is, and you know, to me that proves how dangerous the highway is there. The fence was replaced pretty quickly, and I assume council replaced that.
I wasn't aware of that accident.
Either that or the Department of Infrastructure may have done it.
It's our fence.
Council got trouble replacing it pretty quickly.
So through me, it's in the list, and they're going through the design phase of it, plus the other road projects, and they will be going out for community consultation on those projects shortly. They'll then need to complete the design, go to tender, so there's still going to be a delay before they would start building it, but it's absolutely it's in the list.
As you know, like the children's playground there, it's a great little playground, but there's no access for the kids to get there. Mum and Dad's got to take them and drop them off in the car park because there's no footpaths for them to walk on. And that includes up Imlay Street as well. So, you know, that's pretty poor considering kids have got to get to the playground. I mean, you can approach it now on a new footpath from Franklin Street. That's all right from, you know, that end. You come down through the top of the playground. So get to the skate park and the playground proper. There's no footpath. So.
Noted. We'll make note.
Thank you.
And then, thank you. You've got Paul's meeting.
Another 5 minutes. More questions.
CEO has to be at the airport very shortly, and he should be moving. Yeah, stand up then.
Thank you. I'm Marina Campbell from Dodgers Ferry, and I'd like to say thank you for the response to the question that was written on notice. As you're aware, community members have been attending this council meeting for most months since September last year, when it first came to our attention about the school redevelopment. So that's almost 12 months of asking questions in relation to Ferry Hall. And over this time, we've expressed concern at the time available to take action to save Ferry Hall. I think with the exception of the community engagement report, we feel that mainly we've been made aware of the progress by asking questions and attending the council meetings. And we believe it would be, you know, a much more positive and productive process if we could work more closely together, so council and community with DSIP. So my question is, we therefore ask, will council commit to forming a working group with the community and DSIP to work towards returning Ferry Hall to the community? And there have been precedents for council to have working groups with community. I'll just sit down if that's all right.
Yeah, like I prefer to take that on notice to have a chance to.
It's
discuss
whether
other stuff
it's whether
and do it.
DSIP would do that in this case, having been on the working group for the Sorell school redevelopment. It really is dependent on the appetite of DSET. I feel anyway, but the GM can take that on notice and see if that actually could be the case.
If we could reach that first step of council and community working group, I think we would make a lot more positive, progress, and we would be, that's really bringing in a lot of, community concerns and that communication.
Part of the resolution.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, if we could. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to just work out the logistics of what difference it would make, given we know the department's view, which is whatever the date's going to be, it's going, and they're happy for someone to come and take it. We're sort of at a bit of a circular situation where until we know cost of moving, cost of bringing up to standard, and having somewhere to put it, we sort of know got to get to those points, which in all part with nothing that council or any other party involved with this is withheld from each other. Like, it's all open and no sort of secrets amongst it. So I guess just going to work out discuss with other staff around the benefit from doing it and what different outcome it will be from it. But like I said, Friday the the sort of relocation contract will be there to work out how easy or not it will be to move it and the cost to do that, and then it's a case of, well, subject to where it goes, how it would then be reused will then determine the next part, which is how much it would cost to get it to standard. We're going to have somewhere to put it, which hasn't been resolved yet. So, but if I take it on notice and discuss with Jess and Stacey separately, work out an approach to it.
And just for the mechanics then, would I come back to you out of session of the meeting just to hear a response for that?
Yeah, if you give us a few days,
Yes.
Marina, we'll get back to you. If not in this week or early next week, we'll just give us a chance to cogitate on it.
Thank you.
So you need to make your
I
point.
do now need to go, yes, sorry.
Sorry, hello.
That's okay. If I can just, thank you. My name's Anita Waghorn. I live in Dodgers Ferry. I just have a question regarding the council's previous commitment to do a heritage assessment of Ferry Hall. I'm just asking, can the council confirm that Ferry Hall is due to be assessed for its eligibility to be listed as a heritage place in the local provisions schedule? And furthermore, can I ask if council can confirm who's been engaged to undertake that assessment and when is it due for completion?
Through me, we've approached two parties for that. The view, I think one was unavailable, no longer doing heritage assessments. The other party was the view that it wouldn't qualify either for inclusion in the local provision schedule or alternatively under the Tasmanian Heritage Register. So at this stage, we haven't been able to secure anyone to do a heritage assessment. The two parties were John Wadsley was one, and the other one was Shane. Help me, the Brad. I can't recall. Yes.
Brad Williams?
Yeah, I thought it's either Brad or Peter. I think it might be Brad.
I have worked I'm a heritage professional working with Parks and Wildlife and previously Heritage Tasmania. If I could assist council, would be happy to do so.
If you could provide potential contractors and assessors, then yes,
I'd be happy to provide a few contractors who work in Tasmania and are familiar with these types of properties.
Thank you. Great.
Excuse me, Mayor. Are we still able to ask questions? Because I know there is. Oh, right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
we
you can.
won't be pressured. Then we'll just. I just wanted to make sure we can still ask questions.
Annette, can we get your details after the?
Yes. Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. So Jess will be assuming the question. Sorry, if I can't. So, Next question. Hello.
Hi, my name is Katie Egger. I work at the Newly Bakawa Steiner School as a teacher. I just wanted to say that we have a great interest in the third hall. We think that the school would be able to work with people to have the hall up at the site of the school. We do have limitations on the area that we have leased, but the area that we have leased is not the whole area of that plot of land. The person who owns the land. We've just leased a part of that land. There is an area that we have been looking at today, particularly, which is just behind the Salvation Army little shop, which we feel might be a possible place for the ferry hall, because it has car parking where the shop is and also where the old Salvation Army Hall is, where the Newly-Bakawa Steiner School is now. The school is, of course, really interested in the hall because it would like to use the hall. However, we understand that the hall wants to be a community place as well. We don't use it all weekend. We don't use it every evening. So we would just like to be part of the discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we'll get your details as well after before we go into closed meeting. Do we have further questions from the public? We have lots of people here. Really?
Supporters of
Supporters. Ferry hall supporters.
maybe not all, but I think quite a few. So
Yeah. That's nice. That's good
Yeah.
to see.
I think it's sort of important that
Yeah.
council sees that.
Yes.
So,
Agree.
and that there is quite a lot of community interest in saving Ferry Hall. I'd just like to say that the Southern Beaches Plan discussion paper and supporting documents have made several references to Ferry Hall, both in the context of cultural value and community need. I just would like to ask the council, do they see a potential role for Ferry Hall in providing social infrastructure into the future?
Absolutely, there needs to be a place of gathering for the community. And we are not ruling out Ferry Hall, but it really is a balance of it comes down to the practicalities in the cost and where do we put it. Certainly it was in that discussion document to trigger a discussion from which we can measure the value to the community. We do things on your behalf and we are considering this on your behalf. So it was in there for a reason, and you demonstrated tonight that it has public support. That weight is out there. So everything is everything is on the table.
Yeah.
It comes down to these assessments, whether it's actually and we passed the development application for the school the other day,
Which we very much supported.
Yeah.
And
even though the D word, as in demolition, was used, the conditions within that, I think I was right in saying, Shane, the conditions within the DA for the school, it was the dismantling of, so essentially flat packing the halls to reassemble somewhere else. So we've got to now assess whether that is, it's structurally sound and it's feasible to do. So those discussions and those conversations and those assessments are happening, and hopefully that gives the community confidence that we are doing our due diligence around moving and re-establishing a new location for the hall, wherever that may be. With the location in mind, in that the council doesn't actually have land available really in the vicinity to accommodate it. So it is work in progress, and I know you've been with us since September,
And so it's, you know, it's been a consideration and a conversation point in council since then. So we're working through the process with DSIP, and we've got to the point where they've said they don't want it, but they won't put the hammer through it. You know, demolition will be sensible and managed. That was the condition in the DA report. So it's ongoing, you know. And I agree with you. If we can talk with you and come up with a solution, then that's the sensible thing. But I'm also aware that DSIP have their goal in mind on their timeline. So we will. I think it's fair to say that absolutely the community is at the forefront of our mind in this decision. Is that fair enough to say? Yeah. Thank you. So stick with us. We're working on it. We will. Don't you worry. Yeah.
I'm Sharon Kent from Dodgers Ferry. Just before I ask my question, I'm certainly not speaking on behalf of Dodgers Ferry School, but I do have had a long association working in the school on and off over the last decade. And I just feel that there's a lot of negativity, not particularly in this meeting, but there is a potential for a win-win here. The school, I'm sure, would, if the hall ended up being located somewhere in the O'Kines vicinity, I'm sure that the school would be using the hall, the community would be using the hall, council gets to feel good about providing the hall and another jewel in the crown, I guess, of buildings that have been rehabilitated. And I really like to see everybody that's involved working together and looking for the win-win, which I think there's a huge potential for. And I understand what you were saying before about, DSIP might not come to the party, but potentially the school might. The school might want to be involved around how they could potentially use the hall and have that as another space, because the gym is a cavernous space which will, I'm sure, happily fit the 700 odd students that are slated to end up at the school. But for an intimate performance with, say, a grade 2 class or something like that, or the band to be practicing, and the acoustics of old halls are fantastic. I can't see why, if the department's not paying for the move, which they've said refused to do, why it wouldn't be a win-win for the school as well as the community.
Yeah, noted. I know the GM has, Robert has spoken with the project manager and the architect. I know he's met with them, and the topic of placing it in, within that DSIP facility has been had. I think it's an ongoing conversation, because it isn't. Yeah, I think we'll have to take that comment on notice as to what the outcome was, or what the response was to that sort of suggestion to DSIP. I wasn't privy to that meeting, so we'll have to take note on that and see what, when Robert returns, finally give you the response to that suggestion from you. Because I wasn't in that meeting, so could we take a note of that, please, and then ask Robert when he returns.
And I guess that would be the value in the working group that Marina was mentioning, because in our community there's a lot of professional experience, and we've been doing a lot of research, not just around Ferry Hall, but halls all around Tasmania, and particularly in this area, putting spreadsheets together and looking at different ways that the hall can be administered and function in a really a great way. yeah, it would be great if we could in some form be included in some of those discussions.
So, can I ask you, as a member of staff, have you been included in the working party to develop the plans for the new school, or have been consulted as a member of staff, or had access to the community input into that working group? Has there been?
No, because I'm not actually a member of staff. I'm a casual relief teacher that has worked at times, you know, a lot at the school and not so much at the moment. I still do it very occasionally.
Okay.
So I'm not involved in any of those discussions.
And has the community or the school association been, I can put it to, okay, Melinda, as a member of the school association.
Through the mayor, yes, as a member of the school association, I can tell you that a member of the school association has been on the project working group with the principal and the DC, the architect, project manager. They meet, I think they've met every fortnight right through the project development. There's a and then that's been progressively reported back through the school association meetings as they happen. There's one on Thursday night, for example, and every time there's an update on progress. Having said that, the school association doesn't have a decision-making role in it. It's that consultative sort of process.
You haven't been consulted?
Yes, that have. So there was a meeting where the architect and project manager came to talk to some time ago now, to the school association.
Okay,
Yes,
so you can't actually answer this
at stages, but can I be reminded, please, what's the specific question? That's on the overall process. What's the specific question?
Oh, it was just around if there can be some kind of a round table discussion with all the stakeholders.
About Ferry Hall being moved to Oakines.
Right. Yeah.
Or another. Certainly, it is an active agenda item for the school association. So, yes, it's been discussed.
So we can't actually direct. We can't
answer that directly, but a query to the school association would be one way to do that. And like as we've mentioned with other projects and our advisory groups, for example, those opportunities to hear from lived experience and broader community input has been valuable.
Yeah,
so
that doesn't actually.
that's something.
The question was: has the school association been consulted on the school plans? But
yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
thank you. So okay,
And it's
So-
an ongoing thing.
we'll get back to you on the discussions with Robert, GM, and project manager around the Oakines question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as I said, you know, ideally a round table discussion at some point with all stakeholders would be amazing to just find a way forward.
Okay, thank you.
And my very brief question is, can council please advise who's been contracted to undertake the building assessment of Ferry Hall, what is being assessed, and when the report will be completed and advised?
So the assessment is being done on Friday. I'm not quite sure who's doing it. Robert has that information under his arm or on his passenger seat at the moment as he drives to the airport. So we'll have to get back to you. But that report won't be kept secret. The results of that report will be shared. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm hoping I'll sort of get another question, like when you move a motion, that you can come back and just do a final one. And I felt a bit rushed with Robert going.
Yeah,
so I
sorry.
sort of felt like
Okay.
I needed to share the opportunity.
Yeah.
So if I can just sort of go back to my question around the working group. And my question on notice was about having the working group to genuinely investigate relocating Ferry Hall for future use for our community. So it's genuinely investigate. And I know, like, we're really working hard to work with council because we're asking council to take on this ferry hall for the community. It's not owned by council at this point in time. It was previously a community facility, and it went to the education department. So I feel that the response from the CEO answered part of the way of that question, but it didn't specifically answer the question about the work, the investigative work about relocating Ferry Hall, because it says, at this stage, no suitable site has been identified. My question is, what work has been done to investigate sites? Because I think that, as a community, we've got some ideas, and interesting to hear, sorry I missed your first name here, but Katie? Yes. But there are definitely proposals that we feel that where the hall could potentially go. But again, it's sitting down and it's not wanting to give any preconceived notions about that. So and we do only have, I sort of see 6 months potentially when the school work commences, and we've already had 11 to 12 months of work trying to sort of work our way through this. That Ferry Hall will be demolished in some form or another when it comes to doing that work, because the school won't be able to hold up that work because it will cost them more. We don't want to hold the work of the school up. We've been really clear about that. We support the work of the hall. So the work is, the question is what work has been done to proactively identify sites, and if that work hasn't been done to proactively identify it, when will that commence? That's a really critical part, I think, for the this. If we're going to look at, that was the sort of question I had, and leading from that is, I think, the suggestion of the working group.
So the consultant that's coming on Friday is a relocation specialist that will look at the feasibility and practicality of actually being able to relocate the building.
Yes.
So I think that's the first step, and then from that, looking at potential relocation sites, but the first step is to get that report. So that's occurring on Friday. And I will speak with Stacey, our Manager of Community Relations, tomorrow about how we can look at a different way of working together so that we can take these conversations out of the formal council meeting environment to another approach.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess.
I have a question. I am a ratepayer and I want to know who's going to pay for this. Is it the council as a ratepayer? Am I paying for it? The group, I don't know whether they're a bona fide group. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this whole thing. I don't even know what it looks like. So I want to know, are they raising money to help the council, or do they want the council and me and the rest of us around here to pay for it? I don't mean to offend anybody by my question, but I just need to know.
Well, currently the costs incurred will be the investigation.
So who's paying that?
That comes out of council coffers.
Due to part of the what the consultant is doing on Friday, we'll look at what the cost of bringing the hall, if it's relocated.
So that'll be the first cost?
Yes.
And then from then on, who's paying for the rest of it? Just a question. Be economic with our money?
It'll be taken, picked up as a council asset and added to our balance sheet, and
so I'll be paying for it with everybody else in the room.
your little share, yeah.
Sure.
That's how council's assets get shared amongst everybody. That's right.
Just curious, that's all.
Rates in a democratic society.
As I said, I don't even know what it looks like. I don't know where it is at the moment. I think it's been moved somewhere before that.
So it was a hall at Kellerby. It was then moved to Lewisham. And then it was moved to the Dodgers Ferry school site.
So the travelling hall.
Travelling hall, kind of, yeah. So bringing its history with it. And it has been the kindergarten at the Dodgers Ferry School for quite a number of years now. And if you drive up the into the football entrance and go around the island at the top of the football car park, it is the yellowish weatherboard building in front of you there.
Something special.
Sorry?
Something special.
Special to me. Yeah.
It used to sit along the flats of bluish, directly behind the beach, behind the dunes.
I've only been there to put my car with there.
Just go for a drive in your little car. Thank you.
I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, I just want to know who's paying fundraising.
It's a question, Deirdre. It's a valid question.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dancers, barn dancers, yeah. Barn dance fundraiser.
I'll be there. Any music dancing, I'll be there.
No,
I need space though.
Yes.
Sharon.
Can I ask another question? I was the president of Fawcett Hall for 25 years. The hall goes back to 1914. It was left in excellent condition. We were frightened we couldn't get a committee to look after it, and we put it to the council, did you want to take it over? And you responded no at that time, that you didn't want any more halls. Why has the situation changed?
I don't know about the scenario with the Fawcett Hall. Perhaps Jessica didn't like this. I'll take
I might have to take that on notice, Sharon. I do recall when that occurred, but I can't recall the detail of what was discussed back.
They put it into the constitution at the time for the hall that if the hall had to go out of community hands, would the council take it? Would you be interested? And you said no. I've never seen this hall either, but I know the standard of the Fawcett Hall, and I know that it's of a very high standard. And prior to the last committee taking over, it was used a hell of a lot by the community.
So it's a question, please folks, it's a question that we'll take on notice, because I'm not aware of the history of the Fawcett Hall apart from all the history of sort of responsibility, so it will be an informative question.
I will put that on notice then, thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Lisa from Lewisham. I'm just talking about the Dodgers Ferry sort of hall as well. Just noting and taking on board what everyone said tonight, and the fact that you mentioned it's been such a historic sort of place and it's been moved around, and sounds fairly robust if it's had such a colourful history of being moved and relocated for use for lots of different people. And from my perspective, I think I've just been doing some work with the community, and we're looking at trying to get sort of movement and people exercising and keeping healthy, and there's very limited spaces and community support to actually have rooms to do such things in. And one of the things is that could be another use of that, and I think the community is quite open to that, and given what we've sort of heard tonight about the expansion of Sorell and the fact we are embracing lots more people and we're having new developments, I think it's almost un-Australian not to try and sort of save little Tassie little thing, because it's been so much to lots of different people and it can be reused, and to not have this rushed sort of discussion about that Friday's the deadline with this person and that person. It just sounds like it'd be a shame if the community didn't get some sort of good outcome for that particular building. It sounds like it really deserves it.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Eugene? No? Okay, I thought you were going to We've got anything else from the public? No? Okay, in which case we've got to go through to a closed meeting, but I'm also very mindful of we need some contacts. So we do have a motion to go into the closed meeting, but before we do that, would those people who are going to share their details would they like to come and jot it down? Before we go through them, because it gets very muddled there. We've got that informal bit. I understand your need, the emotion.
The kids are sick. He sent me a message. Yeah. No, he sent me a message earlier and said the boys come down on. Still
Yeah, let's grab them. Thank you.
So I think at that stage,
Once they sort of work out the design, I guess there'll be a consideration of whether it's a capital project.
Excuse me, Carl. Just so everyone's aware, we're still live. We need to go into closed meeting, so we're still live streaming. Just so that everybody's aware.
Sorry for coming up the middle there.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yes.
Right, folks. Clear the room so we can go through.
Talk to you about it.
Thank you. Right, let's move on to the. Come on, Sharon.
Snap, snap.
As prescribed, recommendation that the meeting be closed to the public to enable council to consider agenda items 24.1 to 24.4, which are confidential matters as prescribed in the regulations 40 and 17 of the local government meeting procedures, regulations 2025. Now move, please. Councillor Nichols and Deputy Mayor Larkins to second. Thank you. All those in favour of the recommendation? Unanimous. Thank you. We'll now move through to close and end the live streaming.